Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Paul, I'm an English teacher at an elite private school in Thailand. Today we're going to talk about American hookup culture. So this topic is one that a lot of people have asked for, and I know it's a very sensitive topic. Let me say first of all that I'm not a judgmental person. I don't like to tell other people how to live their lives. I don't judge people based on things they've done in the past. We all make mistakes. We all live different ways. That's totally fine. What I am going to talk about is the repercussions, the consequences of acting a certain way or behaving a specific way. And one thing that you'll find is that no matter who you are, no matter what you do, there's always consequences or repercussions for your actions. So the better you live your life, the more ethical you live your life, the more healthy of a life you live, I think the better the consequences, the better your life will be. I think that's true no matter what you're talking about, but it's particularly true for this topic. So again, I'm not judging, I'm just being honest. Okay, so we're going to talk about hookup culture. First of all, what is hookup culture? Hookup culture is a cultural acceptance of casual sex or having sex with a lot of different partners. Right now in America and in Europe, this is a very common thing. Many people will go on dating apps like Tinder and have sex with many different people. And usually how this works is that the most attractive men, the top maybe 5 or 10% of men, the tallest, most attractive men go and have sex with many different girls. And the girls go on there and they're all basically competing for the attention of the small number of men. So that's a specific, very concise, practical definition of what hookup culture is. Now, hookup culture is only common among certain groups in America. I'd say maybe 50% of the population does it and 50% doesn't do it. So, for example, if you were to go to an Orthodox Christian church, a very conservative Christian church in America, you would find that nobody in that church participates in hookup culture, and most of the women at that church are virgins until they're married, and they only have sex with one man in their life. So something to keep in mind is that all of these things depend. When you talk about hookup culture being common in America, yes, it's true that it is very common among certain groups in America, among probably 50% of the population, especially among like universities and liberal, what you might call well-educated people. And the reasons for this are complicated. I don't have time to get into that today. But what it is it's a cultural movement that has grown over the last 40 or 50 years, and it has become more and more common as time has passed. And again, you could make a whole series of videos talking about the historical reasons why this has happened, but that's not the purpose of this video today. So the purpose of this video today is we're going to identify how you can tell if someone is looking for hookups, what the impact of hookup culture is, and whether or not you as a person might be interested in trying it, the benefits and the negative consequences of it. So number one, how to tell what hookup culture is. So you go on an app like Tinder. Tinder is almost always used for hookup culture. People don't usually find relationships on Tinder. This is true to a lesser extent on other dating apps like Plenty of Fish or OkCupid. Usually, if a girl is looking for a relationship, she'll go on an app like Bumble. And one of the biggest differences between hookup culture and dating culture or relationships is hookup culture is all about physical attractiveness. So most girls who want to hook up are only looking for the most attractive men. They only want sex. So they're going on these apps specifically to get sex. And again, I'm not judging, that This is very common. A lot of young girls do this. And usually, not always, but usually it's going to be the girls who don't have a good relationship with their father. So they're doing it for psychological reasons. That it's very complex. I'm not going to get into the specifics of this, but that's a broad overview. It's not always true. And then the other reason that they will get into it is because of societal or cultural values. So, for example, they will see it in the movies and they'll think, oh, I want to try that. But they don't really understand the implications of it. They don't understand the consequences of it. It just seems like a fun thing to try. So now we'll talk about the consequences of it. So one of the things that I learned is that, and this is through personal experience, this is through seeing this happen to women in my country, is that casual sex or sex with a lot of men is very damaging to women. What happens over time is usually a woman is able to have sex with several men and develop a strong emotional connection with maybe her first 3 or 4 partners. But then as she has sex with more and more men, it becomes more and more difficult for her to develop an emotional connection with that man and have a relationship. So she becomes damaged, and the more partners she gets, the less capable she is of having a relationship. She starts to see relationships as sex or as physical or as a way of getting what she wants, whether that's money, status, sexual gratification, it doesn't matter. So women who participate in hookup culture, generally speaking, have a very difficult time maintaining relationships. They have a difficult time with things like family, things that are traditionally fulfilling to women. So what that means is that they live very unsatisfied lives. So there's 2 different kinds of satisfaction here. There's short-term gratification, and then there's long-term satisfaction or happiness. So what you're doing is you're giving up long-term happiness in exchange for short-term gratification. And again, I'm not judging. People can live their lives however they want. I'm just talking about the realities of the situation. So what you see is that in my country now, there are many women who have done this, who have participated in hookup culture, who are damaged by that experience and no longer have traditional relationships with men, or they're constantly breaking up with their boyfriends or cheating on their boyfriends. And they end up either as single mothers, or they end up where they don't even have relationships anymore, where they just participate in hookup culture. And then they become older and they don't have a family. They end up very unhappy as a result of this. And that's the practical reality of the long-term consequences of living this kind of lifestyle. So you will see many women in my country who are in their 40s, who are in their 50s, who are single, well-educated, and very unhappy with their lives. And it's unfortunate, but it's a reality of life. And so the question for you is, if you want to try hookup culture, number one, I would suggest not doing that. It's just not, it might seem fun when you think about it without understanding the implications of it. But for most people, it's very damaging. And it's damaging for men, but it's damaging in different ways. So for men in particular, if you hook up with a lot of women, the same kind of thing happens where you stop seeing women as good for a relationship and you start to see them as sexual partners only, or you use them for gratification, which isn't a healthy way to think about women. But in addition to that, it'll make it harder for you to maintain relationships. So women will avoid men like that, and they will place a very high value on men who are the opposite of that. So men who want a relationship, but men who have a lot of self-worth. Very experienced men who understand women, who have high status or high self-worth. And that's not necessarily about how much money you make. So men like that in my country are considered very desirable by the 50% of women who don't participate in hookup culture. So again, there's these two competing narratives or competing cultures in America. I hope that you found this information interesting and helpful. I hope people aren't getting offended from this. I'm just trying to communicate this topic as clearly as I can. Again, this is a difficult topic to discuss. If you like the video, please like and follow. If you found it interesting, please share with your friends. And if you have any questions or comments, post them in the section below. I read all of the comments and I either respond to them or I include the questions in future videos. Thank you so much for watching.